It's that time again. Welcome to the Steel City Roundtable, your home for real stories from real people, where everyone matters and all stories deserve to be told. Before we get down to the meat and potatoes of the show, we have to go over our legal disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Steel City Roundtable are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We are not professionals or affiliated with any professional organizations. If you are in crisis, dial 911 immediately and seek professional help. And here are your hosts. Hey guys, welcome back to the Steel City Roundtable. My name is Mark Nebo, and I'm one of your hosts. And to my left,
Kelly
you know
Gibson.
who she is. Yeah, whatever.
I'm the princess.
Okay, here we go. It's starting already. So first, we're going to start off the show. A good friend of ours passed away in a motorcycle accident a couple weeks ago, June 1st. So, Kenny Finnegan, we miss you. We love you. To all his family and friends, we're here for you if you need us. And let's all start that healing process. But talking about Kenny. How was your week this week?
So. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on with the comment, the bullying,
Yeah.
the harassment.
Yeah, folks, so we know that people aren't going to like everything that we say, and there's going to be posts, and there's going to be messages, and there's going to be things that are said. But the one thing we don't condone is we don't condone hate speech, and we don't condone personal attacks. So if we see something like that on our social media, we will delete it. And if you have a problem with that, you know how to get a hold of us. We'll have a seat for you.
Yeah, come tell your side of the story. We'd love to have you here.
So, I mean, besides the bullying, how's work? How's Bobby?
Bobby's good. Bobby's super good. He met my brother yesterday. And,
How'd that go?
My brother actually really likes him.
So he's got bad taste too.
I guess so. I mean, actually, probably not, because he's been with the same woman for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the smart one.
Yeah. No, but that's cool. So you're starting to bring him around the family?
Yeah. Yep, we're starting to meet families. I get to meet his parents for 4th of July.
That's a big step.
Mm-hmm.
How long you guys been together now?
It'll be 2 months coming up.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm happy. We did the episode that we did last week that we're holding off on putting out because it's sensitive. How are you doing mentally?
Probably about the same as you. Still angry, still frustrated, still sad,
I mean, but you seem a lot better.
Well, I mean, I can't stay down in that low area. I mean, you should see my house. It's a wreck, because I just haven't had the energy to get up and go do laundry or, pick up cups that I have all over the place. The only thing that I've managed to do is keep myself clean and keep the litter boxes clean.
Well, that's where I think I'm lucky because with being a truck driver, I'm occupied all day. Mm-hmm. It's a double-edged sword. It could be good, it could be bad. Like some days it's good. Like yesterday, I was coming back from Barboursville, West Virginia. It's about 350 miles away, and I was listening to the podcast that we did with Kenny 2 months ago.
The Mother's Day episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is coming out soon. We're still waiting on that one as well. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I need to talk to Kenny today.
Yeah.
So I put on a podcast and I just listened to him talk, and it's nice that we have that, but
Yeah.
there's also days that are horrible.
I know. And then especially if you're seeing somebody for the first time, like a friend or something, and they're like, how have you been? And, like you say, I mean, this month kind of sucked. And you start explaining, and then all of a sudden it just crashes down on you again, that the only way we're ever going to talk to him is into thin air, Yeah.
It
sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. This week was better for me.
This week was better for me.
I mean, granted, I worked like 65 hours again, so it's like, I was busy all week. But I noticed that it's like the times where I'm really happy, like I'm having a really good day, are like the times when I have to watch myself. Mm-hmm. Because that's when I start thinking about them, and then I start to get a little depressed, a little bit down, and then the old feelings come back for a little bit, and that's where the whole CBT thing kicks in, and I have to do those questions that we always ask ourselves. But yeah, I'm like, everybody says, turn to God, turn to your faith, and this may upset some people. Go figure. But like you, I'm angry at God right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't believe. It just means that I can't turn to something I don't understand. You know, for people that don't know, Kenny had a really rough couple years, and he was just getting his shit together. He was just cresting that mountain, right? Getting ready to ride the hill.
He was happy. He was, looking forward to the future. I mean, he brought me my Angie.
Yeah.
He brought me my Angie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, he was just getting everything back together, and then he was taken. And I was never a real strong religious person with faith in the first place. But right now, I just, like, everybody says there's a plan, and things happen for a reason, and I just want to know what the reason is.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did dinner with his stepkids on Father's Day, I said that I feel that the reason why this happened was to bring people together that did not know each other, or people that did know each other that had gone out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Chad,
Yeah.
his friend Chad, and then, Hannah and Cheyenne and Dustin and Jordan, like, they're good people.
Right.
But-
and like for me too, like all of the people that I haven't talked to in years and years and years, and like Castle, and I talk to Puff sometimes, but Kim and Stephanie was there. Like all the people that I don't normally talk to were there, and I could actually Sorrel were there, and I could actually like see them and talk to them, and it was like they never left. But it was so sad that this is what brought us together.
Why is it tragedy brings us together and happiness takes us apart?
I don't know, friendship, or funerals and weddings.
Yeah, I mean, like, from my experience, like in the law enforcement aspect, everybody talks about the thin blue line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brotherhood, family, togetherness. And the only time that thin blue line matters is when something bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the time, people will step over your warm body to get what they want.
Of course.
So it seems kind of like the same thing. Like now, granted, these people aren't the same because they're not in law enforcement. They're, different people.
Right, right.
But still, it's the same thing. We don't see each other until something bad happens. Like Chad and I, we lost touch for a while, and then, Chad and Kenny and I all worked together 20 years ago.
Right.
And then now, like, I talk to him more now since Kenny died.
Yeah.
And granted, he's angry all the time and wants to break everybody's neck, but, that's Chad.
This guy's kind of scary too.
And then I got to meet Dustin and Jordan, and like they're part of my family now too. And like, now we have this Father's Day tradition where we're going to get together every year. But I just don't understand why we have to be broken in order to come together.
Yeah, I don't know why that has to happen either. I mean, we're grown-ups now. We got jobs and family and household responsibilities, and it's really hard to really, like, we as people have to make the time to see each other. And the only time that we do that is when we're obligated. You know what I mean? Like, that's
a good point.
it's true. I mean, not true for me. There are several of my friends that I go out of my way for, and they go out of their way for me.
But like the peripheral people, the
Yeah.
people that are friends, but they're on the outside.
Yeah.
Like my close network, Kenny was one of the biggest people in my support network for my recovery.
Me too.
He'd been there with me since I went to rehab, and been supporting me the whole time. And by his own words, he suffered mentally because he was so worried about us.
Yeah.
And now that he's gone, like, I don't want to say there's a hole, but in my support network there's a void.
Yeah.
Like that person I talk to, like, 3, 4, 5 times a week isn't there. And it's like, I'll be driving and I'll pull over at a rest stop to go to the bathroom, get a coffee, and I want to call him. And it's like,
I'm doing the same thing. It's been, 3 weeks now?
yeah.
Like, I'll get real excited about something, like something good will happen.
you wanna tell 'em.
And I want to tell them, and I go and grab my phone, and I go, fuck.
Yeah, no, the funny thing about it is she has my number and she never calls.
Oh, yeah, right. I just called him the other day, crybaby.
Yeah, okay, sure. Call me tonight when you get done. The next day, oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep.
I'm sorry. I'm a sleepy girl.
So talking about that, like, I think back to the whole thing about bringing people closer together, like, I think it's definitely bringing you and me closer together.
Definitely.
Because having that shared relationship, me being Kenny's friend, you being Kenny's friend, us becoming friends through Kenny, like, I think, that's going to strengthen our bond, because who are we going to call? You know, when we're feeling that some kind of way, you know, outside of the recovery aspect, you know, you can call Teeny or you can call some other people, but
F you, I'm calling the Ghostbusters.
yeah, okay. No, but it's weird.
No, in all seriousness, yes, that's when I have a lot of friends that don't understand the way that you understand what
Yeah.
I'm going through. It's just, you know, and I did what I was supposed to, and I reached out whenever I was having some, you know, issues during these past couple weeks. Reached out, you know, everybody talked me off the fence, and it was good. It was
Yeah,
fine.
folks, we stayed clean and sober
That's right.
through our first tragic loss
That is
in
right.
recovery. So, you know, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
I know you were hurting.
Yeah.
I know a couple times I talked to you, I was like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. But you did. You did everything you had to do for you.
Cheyenne
You know?
told me she only believed 50-50. 50% chance I would use, 50% chance I wouldn't.
So,
And that's my own kid, y'all. Yeah.
feeling that way, you know, feeling those urges to use. Like I said in the last one we filmed that, you know, I found out when I was coming back from Rochester and I sat in front of a liquor cabinet at Giant Eagle gas station for like 10 minutes staring at the booze. And, you know, finally was able to walk away. But what do you think has made you able to deal with what we've just dealt with and not use? Like, what was your thought process? You know, we talked about, you know, what you thought about doing, using, but what was your thought process that kept you from using?
That literally from the day I became sober until 3 weeks ago, Kenny was there for me. He was on my ass, making sure I was eating, making sure I was hydrating, making sure I was sleeping. You know what I mean? He was always, you know, is there anything I can do for you, honey? Do you need anything? Blah, 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 blah. And to even think about using when he died would have been like spitting in his face.
And that's crazy because we're two different people, right? Like you and me, different people, same friend. That was the same reason why I didn't drink. Because I was like, he would be so mad at me if I relapsed because he died. He would rather me stay sober so I can remember him.
Right.
And I can continue to do what we started.
Yeah, and you know, it sucks because like when you're in active addiction, you're dampening everything. Everything is you don't feel it as much. You don't cry as long. You're you spend your time sleeping or oblivious or whatever you're doing. And this time we had to feel our feels.
It's like that shirt I have. It says sober and it's spelled out underneath. Son of a bitch, everything's real.
Yep, everything's real.
You know, and I share the same opinion. You know, I didn't feel anything for years, you know, bare minimum. And to feel the kind of pain that I felt when we found out about this, like my first thought was like, I can just drink it away.
Yeah.
You know, of course that's going to be my first thought. That's my programming. That's who I am.
Yep.
You know, you're never going to take that out of me.
Yep.
And the difference is, you know, I remembered where I was a year ago, May, when I was ready to just call it quits completely. And, you know, I remember talking to Kenny. Well, I don't remember talking to Kenny, but Kenny told me that I talked to him because I was so drunk. You know, the stubborn son of a bitch, even to the day he died, he still didn't get it. He still didn't get it. We try to explain it to him, and it's, you know, this is how we are. He still didn't get it.
It's really hard if you haven't had that kind of substance abuse issue. You know, no matter what you're using, no matter if you're on the real hard stuff or you're, you know, you believe you have a problem with marijuana. And I'll say this again, I'm going to say it 100 times. I don't think marijuana is a drug unless you abuse it. I think it's a medicine. I do think it should be available to people. Do I smoke? No, I choose not to. For my Second Amendment reasons.
FYI, we aren't promoting drug usage. We are
We're not.
promoting you doing the research, and if you need to use marijuana in a medicinal purpose, go to your doctor, get a prescription, get a medical card, and do it the right way.
Yeah.
Because guess what, folks? It may only be a ticket now in Pittsburgh, but you can still get in trouble for having marijuana if it's not by the FDA rules. So just make sure you do the right thing, do your due diligence, and get the medical card and then, be a pothead all you want. I don't care.
Yeah, like it's I just know there's a lot of people I know that use it medicinally.
Yeah.
And it's really important part of their therapy and recovery, like through traumas.
Yeah.
And in that case, I'm like,
Another great
smoke it up.
alternative is CBD oil. They make CBD oil, it's from hemp, it's not from THC. And they make ones that they're promoted as no THC, but they're an undetectable level so that you can use it and it won't pop on a drug test. At least that's what I've been told. I'm not an expert. I'm not saying, I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just saying this is what I've been told by people in the medical profession. So there's, that's supposed to be really good for inflammation and for anxiety and for sleep and for mood. And, I've talked to a lot of people that have taken that and do take it, and they say it helps immensely with like the anxiety and whatnot. And you can get it through like chiropractors now. So like there's legit sources.
You can get CBD stuff at Giant Eagle.
Yeah, but you don't want to buy the crap from Giant Eagle.
Why?
Because you're going to get stuff that pops for Delta 8 and all these other cannabinoids that can get you jammed up.
Yeah.
Because all these little places that sell it like Quick Fill and 7-Eleven. I would never, me personally, if I was going to get it, I would never buy it from anybody but a medical professional.
Oh man, when I was getting high, Delta 8 was my go-to. Eat like, I don't know, 1,000 milligrams. Blown out of your mind.
Yeah, see, I talked to because it's THC. Delta 8's a strain of THC, if I'm correct. But like my chiropractor, so they sell their own brand, but it's, formulated. And the way they do it is, because I asked them about it. I said, do you have anything that's zero THC? Like, well, we have no THC, but there's still a little bit in it. It's just not detectable. I'm like, okay, well, no thanks. But they have a QR code right on the bottle. So you can actually take your phone out, scan the QR code, and get the third-party testing that gives you the breakdown of everything that's detectable and what's not.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's why I say go through a medical professional if you get it, because they're going to go with somebody who has third-party testing. They're going to go through a process so that they can vet the company, and then the product that they're selling, they can be sure of what they're selling. And that QR code is for every single item.
Yeah.
So this bottle has one. This bottle has one. The salve you put on for muscle soreness, that has one. The gummies, that has one.
The tinctures are really good for your muscle and pain.
Yeah. Now, granted, you're going to get more from something that has THC in it.
Yeah, you definitely will.
But, folks, if you have a sensitive job, do your research once again, due diligence. Don't go buying something off the counter, because if you pop, for example, CDL license, if I take something and I pop for a test, they're going to send me walking, because I've already used my get out of jail free card with my alcoholism.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. Like, people think, oh, if I get a medical card from a medical professional, my job can't fire me. Guess what, guys? Sure can. Sure can.
Commercial license, you're not allowed to have any THC in your body.
Working a government job, you're not allowed to have THC in your body.
Now, I know police officers that take it.
Yeah.
And they don't pop positive because they get
for
the
CBD, but I'm talking about THC.
Yeah, they don't pop positive for the THC because they take the tincture that has the low level. It's like less than 0.3%. I think, so it's like minimal THC. Like they say it isn't even detectable in a drug test. They will tell you have to drink the whole bottle in order for it to show up. So, and they never test positive. They take it as prescribed. But once again, we aren't telling people what to do. We're just giving you options.
Seriously, go to a doctor. Don't be like, oh, I was listening to a podcast and they said I definitely
first off, if you
this.
listen to anything we say and then that's
dumb.
What you do, you're stupid.
Yeah, you're real stupid, because we're still figuring it out, man. We don't know what we're doing.
What's crazy is that, like I said, police officers take it and they don't have a problem, but a truck driver probably won't take it because they're so worried about their license.
Yeah.
Because it's our income.
Correct.
You get popped for marijuana, THC at a police department. The chances are you're not going to get fired. Chances are they're going to be like, "What's your deal?" Put you through rehab, do the whole thing and put you on probation, blah 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 blah, administrative leave, whatever. But as a truck driver, you pop positive, they're immediately taking you and doing an evaluation and finding out what your addiction is, and then they're putting you through testing, and then they're putting you into a treatment program, and then you got to come back, and then you're on probation. It's like, people, I don't mess around with stuff. like that because I can't afford to lose my income.
Well, it really interesting. Somebody that I know was in a union, and I was reading all of the "you're in the union" paperwork. This is all the stuff that we're going to give you. Do you know they'll put you through rehab 4 times before they fire you? I was like,
Where does he work? Can you
I
tell me? Because I want to go there. Because, hey, man, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to drink again.
no. I mean, you'd have to go through school and everything for it too. But
No, thanks.
yeah, but there's a person I know in a union that I read the paperwork, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?
I mean, I think
Times?
I think the standard is they have to give you one chance.
At least
As
one.
as long like depending on whether you've gotten in criminal trouble.
Right.
I mean, if it's just like me, I went to my boss and said, "Hey, I'm a drunk. I need to get fixed. I'm a mess," and then they're like, "Hey, go to rehab."
Yeah.
You know, but if I do it again, I'm going to get fired
Yeah.
because they're not going to put up with it twice.
Right.
Like I have all kinds of parameters I have to follow. Like I couldn't go back to work for a month and a half because I had to seek third-party evaluations and treatment and blah 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 blah. It was like I had to go to I think they wanted me to go to 2 meetings a week or 3 meetings a week, and I went to 100 in the first month, 90 in the first month.
Right.
But if you're out there and you think that you can't get help, you can. I mean, your company is most likely going to put you through treatment to get you right because federally you're protected that way. They can't just dump you. Now, if you go get arrested for, robbing a bank because you're high on cocaine, good luck. You're going to be working at Burger King. But,
Maybe.
no offense to the Burger King employees.
Maybe.
Unless you're in that union, because then you get 4 shots.
Yeah. They'll get you right out of it.
Like, I don't personally know, but I've heard of officers testing positive for cocaine, and they kept their jobs.
I know a story about a branch of law enforcement that got caught with cocaine in their system, and they canned them.
I mean, you should, because that is a straight illegal narcotic.
Right?
There is no medicinal purpose for that anymore. Like back in the 70s, maybe there was, but not anymore.
Man. Back in the day.
Oh, boy.
You keep adding all these nasty flavors to Coca-Cola. Just put cocaine in it again.
I'm going to say no, maybe, because I like Coke, the drink.
Yeah, but there's nasty flavor. What's that Dream Castle kind? It tastes like cotton candy. Ugh.
I don't know, but they just came in with a Dr. Pepper that's coconut flavored, and it is disgusting.
It sounds like it's disgusting.
Yeah, just stop.
They have a Dr. Pepper mixed with cream soda that's actually pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, no. I'll pass.
Just no.
It's hard enough for me to even go to cherry Pepsi. You know what I mean? I'm just a Pepsi Zero, Coke Zero guy. I like.
See, I don't. Yeah, I'm going through a Pepsi stage right now, so I don't know if I'm gonna end up back in a Coke stage.
Drink.
Coca-Cola.
Drink.
Coca-Cola.
So what else is going on? I mean, what's on your mind today?
Today, I'm going to a graduation party for my friend's daughter, one of my family, their daughter. And I remember when she was born, it makes me kind of want to throw up a little bit. Didn't you ever be around a little kid and then 15 years later they're 18 and graduating from high school and you're like, where did the time go?
No.
Why?
I mean, it's my sister's kids, but I don't see them very often, and they're not talking to her now because of her divorce, so whatever.
Well, me and my friend, Teeny, it was just, I swear it was just yesterday she was pregnant. And now he's 7. You know what I mean?
Time does go faster.
I know, but they say that to you, but when you're in it, when you're in the thick of it, oh, God. When Cheyenne was 10, 11, she was just hitting that pre-teen stage. I mean, I don't know how I didn't, lock her in a room. Just
because you're not an abusive parent.
No, I'm not
You're not a shitbag.
But seriously, she was a nightmare. She's a good kid now.
Look where she's cut from. I mean,
I know. I'm pretty messy.
Yeah.
You're messy.
Yeah, you're kind of a slob.
I am.
Yeah, I need to clean that car out. I may get you a detail for your car, but they'll probably charge me like $1,000 because they come out there with like
Bio.
12 bags of garbage and biohazard suits.
Yeah, there'll be a little note on it. $15 charge for biohazards.
They'll be like, COVID wasn't shit compared to your car.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
shit.
it's gross. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Who's ever in my car?
So you're going to a graduation party. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm going to a graduation party. So that should be good, and I'll see all my people, and that'll be even better. And then I'm supposed to go to Bobby's house tonight.
That sounds like fun.
It will be.
Yeah. See, I've got something that's bothering me.
What?
So there's this guy in Chicago who's a social media influencer. His name's Dominic Izzo. And he's, he talks about a lot of cool stuff. He's very off the cuff, because what he's doing is, putting everything out there. Like, I mean, everything. And quite recently, he's been talking about, females in law enforcement. And I kind of disagree with his viewpoint. So I kind of want to get your opinion, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So
Okay.
I'm not to get in what he says, or I'm not trying to drag him through the mud. He's got a great show. I watch a lot of his stuff. But you not being from a law enforcement background, what is your opinion of women in law enforcement?
So they have to go through the same training.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have the same qualifications. They have to pass the same tests. I think in some cases they might run faster than some of the older, bigger male counterparts. I think if they pull their weight and they can handle their business, I think that they deserve every right as a male police officer.
So, like you said, they all go through the same training because police departments don't isolate sexes and give them different training.
Sure.
What do you think about the old argument about size? Like, men are bigger, men are stronger by nature, women are smaller, they're more fragile, blah, 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 blah. Once again, these are just things that are said. You'll get my opinion here shortly.
Right, we're too emotional, like we're emotionally invested.
Well, I mean, the big argument that I see a lot is that they're too small, they're not strong, they're not big. In a physical altercation, they can't handle themselves. And these are the things that people say, right?
Well, that's when your use of force continuum comes in, in my personal.
I mean, I know this is kind of a weird discussion because we come from different backgrounds.
Yeah, no, I'm courts.
Yeah. So let me put it this way. So I'm a police officer. I'm working by myself in a car. I'm in a very busy neighborhood, and there's calls for a guy with a knife. I show up, and my back out is a female officer who's about half my size, and she shows up, and a lot of officers will see that and be like, shit, right? They'll be like, oh, fuck, like, this is going to be rough. Now, other officers don't see it that way. What do you think of a scenario like that? Like, if it was you and you were, put yourself in a man's perspective, if you can, what would your thought process be if you got in a situation like that?
Probably along the lines of I'm going to have to be more physically involved in this than she's going to be, but maybe I can. I mean,
I know it's difficult.
In my brain, I'd probably start creating a strategy on how to handle this.
Yeah.
Maybe she's smaller and can get like better vantage points. That go over there and sneak into the.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to push you in a direction.
I know you want me to say.
And I don't know how to get you to say it. But basically, one of the biggest arguments is women are small and they're weak.
Yeah,
right?
Small and weak, right?
Now,
Yeah.
let me put it this way. In my 12 years, I worked with women that I didn't want to work with, and I worked with women that were just badasses. They would just fuck somebody up. They weren't afraid. They weren't scared. And I'm not saying that female officers are scared. They all get the same training. I guess what I'm trying to move towards is like, this opinion that women can't do the job, I think is bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
you know?
No, I
So
agree
you
with
thought I was
that.
going the other way.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just didn't know what you wanted from me. That's why I kept saying like all of the different things I was saying. Like
Yeah.
she might not be the one to be able to tackle this guy, but maybe she can get a vantage point where she can be radioing back like exactly what he's doing and exactly where he's at, and that's useful in itself.
So here's where I really put you on the spot. If you were administration in a police department, what do you think could be done to try to counterbalance the size differential when it comes to men and female officers?
I don't know. Maybe. What an interesting question. I don't think there's. I don't know if there's a lot that can be done in size except for maybe more intensive physical combat training for the female officers.
What about voluntary training to teach people how to deal with larger foes,
Yeah.
much bigger, quote unquote, enemies?
Right. Yeah.
That would be effective, right?
That would be definitely
And you make it
effective.
voluntary to the entire department so that anybody who wants to take that training can take it. You're not singling anybody out, and you're not saying, hey, you're a small female, go get this training, or hey, you're a little dude, go get this training. You're saying, hey, it's open to everybody.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then people could learn, smaller people can learn how to manipulate a larger person.
Yeah.
I mean, because like a lot of departments, they do some martial arts training, like jujitsu.
Yeah.
But when I was a police officer, the last thing I wanted to do is get on the ground. I wanted to stay on my feet.
Right.
Distance is your friend. Get away, get space, give commands. Don't be right in the fight unless you have to be. And I think that, a lot of these departments are short-sighted because they're not doing something like that to, maybe alleviate that differential.
Right.
Because like me being 6'3", 220 pounds, if I'm going against a 100-pound dude, like I'm probably going to be okay, right? But if you have a 100-pound girl going against a 200-pound guy, she's going to need to know, or he, the smaller guy, is going to need to know special techniques in order to get that space, maintain their safe distance, and then when they have to go hands-on doing something that maybe manipulates an ankle, manipulates a knee, where they can start from the bottom, take the base away, drop them down, and then do their work.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what I'm getting at is like this opinion that women are, not fit for law enforcement is a fucking joke.
I mean, it's the same thing. They say the same thing about military as well.
I mean, I think if the training is available, a lot of people would take it because they'd be like, hey, I want to beat some 200-pound dude up,
Right.
Because I know a lot of officers that are men, they will be more leery to get physical if there's a female on scene because they either don't trust them or they know that something about them that they don't like, or they don't feel that they have the prowess to, give them the backup they need. And, some of these influencers, they show all these videos of like these bad encounters, right? Like where, somebody stands around and doesn't make a decision and doesn't want to go hands-on because of this and that. And, I think the whole point is getting skewed. It's not about whether you're a man or woman in law enforcement. It's about whether you have the right training available to make you a better tool.
Well, and that leads us right back into our normal bitching area.
We bitch.
A lot, actually. I think some people like that we bitch. Some
I hope
people
so.
do. They watch us.
Keep watching.
Watch us bitch. I think that leads back into the defunding the police argument that we're always on. We're always on that kick. Why are you taking away when you have the opportunity to make them better, to make better decisions, to make sure that the offender does not die, does not get away or hurt somebody else? Why are you taking away these things?
So let's back up on that. That's always a good topic, right? So we all know that about 5-6 years ago, shit hit the fan for law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple things happened in Pittsburgh. Departments started making policy. Guys and girls started getting jammed up for things they were doing that weren't really illegal, but they just weren't appropriate.
Yeah.
Training is subpar at best in the academy. I think I've mentioned it before. Local departments around here, they fire their firearm once a year to qualify, and then they never shoot it again. You have to, once you get out of the academy, you're not getting any, jiu-jitsu training. You're not getting any judo training. You're not getting any wrestling training. You're not getting any hand-to-hand combat training. They may take you in every year for your updates because you have to do I think it's 16 hours of updates every year in Pennsylvania. And one of them is use of force. And they may spend 2-3 hours with like a shoulder pin or something stupid that never works. instead of giving them the skills that they need. Now, there's a gym here in Pittsburgh called Wright's Gym, and they do a ton of stuff like that. They do Muay Thai, they do Jiu-Jitsu, they do all these martial arts, and a lot of the members there are police officers because it's owned and run by a former police officer.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I know that when I went to the academy, my gun retention was like 2 hours of like holding onto my gun. It wasn't like, a ton of stuff about how to get away and disengage and get space if you can, or how to, you know, just break that hold. It was just like, oh, you're going to hold your gun and you're going to do this. It's like, this is stupid, because there's so many things you can do, but if you don't get the experience and the training doesn't give you very much, it really doesn't give you a lot of, physical combat training.
Right.
But once again, like, this is 2007 when I started, so things probably changed a little bit since then.
Probably.
But I didn't have jiu-jitsu in the academy.
Right.
They're doing it now. I think they do it through the academy, and you get a membership discount at a couple different places. I think Steel City, was it Steel City MMA? I think that's the name of it. They do some of the training with the city, and it's just, I think, these departments have it backwards. They want to cut money, they want to save money, and they don't put it in the right places.
No.
You got to put it back into training. You got to put it back into making your officers stronger, not physically, but stronger around the entire wheel, like being able to do everything. And I just think everybody now is like, like you say, defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. Well, hey, listen, if you don't want anybody responding to your house for like 25 minutes because you have a burglary, then defund the police.
Yeah, it's just when I actually had a conversation with someone, very briefly, extremely briefly, about the episode that we did regarding excessive force.
Okay.
And
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. It was like I started the conversation. I said one thing, they said another thing, and then walked away. And I was like,
what was there?
So I was talking about how a lot of the times you don't see what happened before they pull a gun out, before they're pinning them down, before you're not seeing the whole story because those stories don't sell. Oh, look, cop does his job correctly, but, let's only show you the part where he might be hurting someone in order to get them under control. He's not trying to hurt them to hurt them. He's trying to get them under control. There is a difference.
Yeah, it's a thing called pain compliance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just, in any case, that person said, well, that doesn't give them the police right to beat the shit out of people. I was like, I didn't even say that. And they were like, I'm done with this conversation. Walked away. I was like,
yeah, see, and that's the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem is, people don't think it through. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Officers have seconds to make decisions and a lifetime to regret it.
Yep.
But at least if they take action, granted, in the long run, it might be wrong, it might be right. It depends on what the situation is. Everything's subjective. But if they do the right thing, or if they do the wrong thing, they got home that night. And if they did the wrong thing, they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
If they did the right thing, they're probably still going to pay for it now.
Yeah.
As in getting dragged through the mud and getting sued and having to vindicate themselves and blah, 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 blah. And departments will let you go before you go to trial and all this garbage. But, if you're righteous, you're righteous. If you do what you're supposed to do, if you do what you're trained to do, if you follow your use of force continuum, if you follow your policies and procedures, if you follow the letter of the law,
Yeah.
you have a lot of leeway as a police officer. You have a lot of options.
Right.
And, just punching somebody, just shooting somebody, those aren't exactly the right way to do things.
Yeah, we're not, and I'm not advocating for that. Here's the thing, I used to work for a criminal defense attorney. Farrell, Weaver, and Oken, criminal defense attorneys, the shit. Yes, I plugged Tom Farrell. Yes, I did. I love the man.
Me and defense attorneys didn't get along very well.
When I was working for him, you know what? I just forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay.
I'm having a really bad day.
It's okay. Too many energy drinks.
It was too
Well, we'll
many
keep
energy.
talking and you'll get back there.
Yeah.
So let's go back to use of force continuum and whatnot, and back to the topic that I brought up of women in law enforcement. You know, you hear a lot of times like people don't act, and these videos show somebody like dancing around for 10 minutes and giving commands and not doing anything, and then shit gets really bad.
Yeah.
The whole point of use of force is to use it only to protect life and limb and to stop the threat. Life, limb, property, stop the threat. You're not out there to just manhandle people. You're out there to do a job, and you're to stop them from continuing their criminal behavior.
I know what I was going to
If it's
say.
necessary. Okay, back to you.
Just it's actually pertinent to what you're saying, is that he used to say that if the police officer does everything they're supposed to, by the book, not doing anything else, then the police officer shouldn't be punished or dragged through the mud for that, because that's what you're supposed to do. And, our Constitution is built around protecting the criminal, not protecting the police officer. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing called the objective reasonable standard. And what that basically is that another officer who is objective and reasonable would look at what you did and said, yeah, I think that's okay, or no, I think they fucked up.
Okay.
And that's all how officers should be judged. Sure. On the objective reasonable standard. Now it's become the ridiculous nonsense standard. Like some idiot on a news channel in Pittsburgh puts up a story, like you said, a 15-second clip of a cop doing something, and then that cop is dragged through the mud. But then the whole story comes out later, and, his supervisors read that report when he's done. Like, they know what he did. So, they sit there and they stew about it, because it's like, what can you do to protect the officer? The officers have no protection. They have a union, but, no offense, the union in Pittsburgh isn't that strong. It's not like an old school union that which will, go to battle for you. Like, it's all hedged bets, and it's all like personality contests, and, staying in good with the city so that they don't screw you type of shit. But like, I see all these videos on YouTube and Facebook and all this shit where it's these quick videos, and it's like some of them are women and men, some are men, some are women, whatever. One of the keys to use of force is acting quickly. Right? It's making a decision and doing it, because all use of force is ugly. It doesn't matter how long it goes, but the longer it goes, the uglier it is. So,
Well, because at that point, they're both fighting for their life, essentially.
Yeah, I think a big problem is that people think incorrectly that women are afraid to act. And it's not so. It's not so. Like I said, I worked with a couple stormtroopers. I actually had one save my ass one time. I was up in a housing project, and I got in a fight with a guy that had warrants and didn't want to go to jail. And I was up there for like almost 3 minutes by myself fighting this guy.
Wow.
And when she showed up, for some reason the guy was laying on the ground, and it wasn't me. And then she was rubbing her knee. And I was like, thank God you got here. Like, that's the thing is, some people have that. Men and women, some people have that warrior mindset where they will do anything to stay alive. They will do anything to affect the arrest. They will do anything to protect the public. Then you have people that come in that don't have that mindset. And I think that is where the problem really begins, is when departments hire people that they really shouldn't be hiring. They're really not qualified.
Or they're not passing the psych tests correctly, or they're not. Here's the other thing. The police, Pittsburgh police used to get like 2,000 candidates a year or something. Yeah. And now it's down to like 500.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do it, because there are people out there that are just hammering every single police department for every little thing that they do. But when the protesters show up on their doorstep, they want an armed guard. They want police officers there.
Well, there was an incident happened, I think it was a couple years ago here in Pittsburgh, where an officer was engaged with somebody, and if I remember correctly, the person wasn't being like assaultive, but they were resisting. They weren't obeying orders, and this person just kind of like tased the guy like 7 or 8 times. You know what I mean? Like obsessive amount of tasing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, not knowing your use of force and not knowing when to step it up. That's an inherent characteristic. Like, you just have to know.
Yeah.
Like, it may take you a little while to get used to it, like when you start out, but you have to know, like, if this thing isn't working, I have to do something else.
Right.
And I think the guy ended up dying. And it was this big
You
thing.
know
They
what?
fired a bunch
Yeah,
of
something
people,
about his heart, right?
something like that. They fired a bunch of people. They fired people that showed up that didn't do anything. Like, they literally cleaned house on that call. Everybody that was involved got fired. Now, granted, some of those people have gotten their jobs back, since then. But, it was crazy to watch it because I saw a clip of the video, and I'm just sitting there like, why didn't this dude just punch the guy in the mouth?
Yeah.
They would have been over. You already tased him. Now it's time for hard impact. Now it's time to go hands.
Yeah. Like,
And now it's to go, step it up a level. And the person just stayed there in that level because they weren't mentally there.
yeah.
Like, they weren't right-minded for that situation. Like, and that's what's being hired now is people that are afraid to act because they're being told in the academy, like, you're going to get sued if you do your job right, and, blah, 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 don't do this, don't do that. It's like, listen, the laws are there, the rules are there, know them.
Yeah.
Know what you can and can't do.
If you do it correctly, yeah, you're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be irritated that you have to sit in court and waste a day and waste a personal day. But if you did everything right, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be.
In a
You know?
perfect world.
Yeah, but, the whole thing is, it comes down to, like you said, there's not enough available bodies to staff these departments. So they're being forced to hire people to get to their number by hiring people that are,
Or dumb as shit.
listen, there's been departments that have hired people that were, involved in criminal trials as witnesses and homicides and, drug usage, like major drug usage. And, it's like, I would not want to be a police officer right now because I don't care if you're man or woman. How do I put this without sounding like a total douche? I don't trust you. If you came on after like 2020, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Because the people that I went to the academy with, like, I put my faith in them 100%. Like,
Right.
I knew that they got my back. And the people I worked with in the zones and the people I worked with when I was in narcotics, like, I knew that if I was in trouble, they had my back. Now, I think more injuries are going to occur to law enforcement because people are afraid to act. And with this new schedule in Pittsburgh, with the low coverage on certain days of the week, like, there's going to be more shootings, like police-involved shootings, because they're not going to have backup. And there's going to be more injuries to police officers because if they do get in a physical altercation, if their backup's 10 minutes away, like, as a law enforcement officer in a fight, 30 seconds is a lifetime.
This is not the same, but the same. I was a waitress for a really long time. And I would train. And one of the things that I trained them on, I said, you have to get to a table and ask them if they want something to drink within 2 minutes. That is the rule. I don't care how busy you are, you at least stop by that table and say, hello, can I get your drink? Because it's not going to take you that long to fill a glass with soda. And then I'd say, I'm going to start a watch. You guys raise your hand when you think we got to 2 minutes. And I started, they made it maybe 35 seconds. Mm-hmm. 35 seconds, they're putting their hand up. I'm like, we ain't even halfway there yet, So when you say 10 minutes, that's a long time.
Well, like, they have a knock and announce rule in Pennsylvania for search warrants. You have to knock and announce your presence.
Yes.
And I think it's 22 or 25 seconds, something like that. You have to wait. And I went to some training down at Fort Indian Town Gap. It's called Top Gun. It's Top Gun narcotics training when I became a narcotics detective. And, they would sit there and go, okay, knock, announce, and then wait. And then breach the door when you think you've waited enough. 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 8 seconds, 19 seconds. Nobody made it to the time frame because when you're in that situation and that adrenaline's pumping and you're amped up, that time goes so slowly.
Right.
It feels like forever.
Well, can't you also start claiming exigent circumstances?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but yes, if there's like, if they think they're destroying property or you think somebody's being hurt, like, courts will hear those.
Right.
Those reasons, but as a rule.
I'm just saying in narcotics, like, the first thing they're going to do is try to flush it.
Yeah, and we have to wait.
That's stupid.
You know, I mean, it literally is. It's. I get it. It's to protect their rights as well, which everybody has their rights. Every citizen deserves to be treated equally, as in these are your rights. Now, if you act like an asshole, you know, it's a different story. But you know, like, you know, law enforcement today is so much different because of the lack of initiative to handle problems.
Right.
You know, everybody's trying to skate the hard calls and not go on them.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, not deal with the difficult shit, because let me tell you what, when shit goes south, it goes south, and it's a total clusterfuck.
Right.
And trying to decipher what happened afterwards. You know, you've got 6 people there that were involved in a physical arrest, and now everybody's got to account for what they did.
Yeah.
Like, that is difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like every kick, every punch, every shove, every armbar, every ankle lock, every, you know, whatever.
Right.
You got to account for everything, because you go to court and they say, well, you didn't write that you did this and you did this. Now, what do you say? I forgot. I mean, that's why I think the body camera thing is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of officers hate it, but I think it's great.
I absolutely think the body cams are essential for showing the real story. You know, I did not say that. I actually said this and they responded this. Or showing that police officer that did do the thing that he said he didn't do, you know? Because it's the heat of the moment. Doesn't remember he has a camera on his body.
And now with those cameras, you can watch it
Yeah.
when you get back, and watch it before you write your report, so you can remember everything that so you can see everything you did and
Right.
and that's why I think it's great. It's a great tool. You know, the only times I've ever been questioned about videos, they defended me. The videos defended me. The videos vindicated me of what I was being accused of.
Of course.
You know, because you watch a video, you say what you did. Like, I had one complaint. It was like, you know, that I was a racist and I was this and I was that and I was that. And then it was like a, you know, 20-page complaint. And they watched the video, and the people that investigated the complaint said, yeah, don't even bother coming down. Like, because you're good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because every organization has an internal investigative organization that looks into misconduct, right?
Yep.
And mine, for my department, was a bunch of jokers, you know, whatever. But when you were right, they knew it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They may question you 50 ways from Sunday, you know, to try to get you to slip up. But
That's
you
their
know,
job.
But yeah, I mean, the videos will save an officer more often than hurt them. The times it hurts them is when you know, lean on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. I mean, that's when you get screwed, or when you just blatantly punch somebody in the face for no reason.
Oh my God. Speaking of which, I saw a video on Instagram. It was a camera in the back of
What's
a
on
cruiser.
Instagram? It's got to be true.
I didn't say it was true. I'm just saying I watched it on Instagram and it was atrocious, and it plays into this excessive force type stuff that we get into. It was a camera inside the back of the cruiser looking down on the defendant.
Accused criminal.
Defendant. If you're in the back of a police car, 99.9% of the time, you're going to have a Commonwealth versus John Jane Doe, okay? That makes you a defendant the moment your ass goes in that car, that
I'm not gonna
truck.
argue.
But the police officer had this guy by the shirt and was punching him in the face, screaming, stop resisting, and this dude was just like knocked out. It was crazy.
But you didn't see what happened beforehand.
But I didn't see what happened beforehand, but I still, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, normally when someone is handcuffed and incapacitated in one shape or form, you treat them with more, at least in my experience, you should treat them with less force if you can.
Absolutely.
You know, because once they're in handcuffs, like I was always taught, once they're in handcuffs, the fight's over.
Right.
You know, you get them in handcuffs, now you have control. To an extent, you have control.
Right.
They can still hurt you.
Yes.
And anybody can hurt you from any position. It doesn't matter where they are, what you're doing. If they're handcuffed, doesn't mean they're safe. You know, so be smart. But yeah, you don't keep punching somebody in the face when they're handcuffed, right? So this brings up another point. I'm talking about the male, female, you know, size differential thing. I think one of the things that police officers have forgotten is that size plays a part in your use of force, not just for the person you're dealing with, but yours. So say you're dealing with me. I'm 220 pounds. You're not. You're a lot smaller than me. Like the use of force, actually, you can account for that.
Sure.
So you may not go straight to a wrist lock. You may not go straight to this tool or this tool. You may jump a level because of the differential in size. And as long as you can articulate it and you can show why you did what you did, like, John Doe was approximately 250 pounds, outweighed me by approximately 150 pounds due to the size differential and the obvious threat. I did this.
Right.
And a lot of people stick to that use of force continuum. Like, I have to go with the soft hand technique first. Then I can go to my taser. Then I can go to my baton, hand strikes. Then I can go to this and that. It's like, no, everything is subjective, objective, reasonable.
Right.
That's the standard.
Yeah.
If somebody looks at that video and you don't go and try to put me in a wrist lock, but you just straight kick me in the kneecap,
Oh.
as long as you can articulate why you did it,
Oh, well,
you're
yeah.
going to be okay.
Right.
And people forget this. People don't really, they know it's happening. Like, officers realize that it's happening. They realize that they're much smaller or they're much bigger.
Right.
And in the inverse, if I'm going against you, like if I straight punch you in the face and I don't try a wrist lock first, or I don't try soft hand techniques first, or if I don't try pepper spray first,
Right.
like, I'm wrong, because it works both ways.
I just thought about you actually punching me in the face, and it.
Well, so have I.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
No, but I mean, bring this whole thing around. It's just, no matter who you are, man, woman, it's not your sex that determines whether you're a good officer.
No.
It's not your size which determines you're a good officer. It's your ability to take control, handle situations, think on your feet, and use your head.
Yeah.
And follow your policies and procedures. And I think, once again, if there was more training out there, voluntary trainings where people can say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that, I think you'll find that you can bring the people that maybe aren't there yet, you can bring them along more, but it costs money.
Well, like the lawyers have continuing education, they have CLEs. Every year, they have a certain amount of credits that they have to hit in order to maintain their law license. And why can't it do something like that? Like,
Well, they do in Pennsylvania.
For police
you have
officers?
16 hours a year of in-service training.
okay,
It covers case law, use of force, and whatever else, the department wants to throw in there, domestic violence training, whatever. You have 16 hours of mandated training through the state.
yeah,
And if you don't do that, you could lose your certification.
okay.
So you have to keep up on that every year. But even that, it's not enough.
It's not enough. I mean, isn't there some sort of incentive that can be added? Like, I'm not even talking monetary. I'm talking maybe you do like OSHA training. OSHA training is hours of training. Maybe giving them, like, if you do 25 hours, we'll give you an extra personal day.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm just,
Good luck with that in these times where they don't have enough manpower. I mean, there are organizations that offer free training, but it's all voluntary, and you have to get the time off from work. And there's one called ILEE. There's also the Pennsylvania State Police. They do a lot of free training. What's the other one? PNOA, the Pennsylvania Narcotics Officers Association. They do trainings. These are all trainings that you can put in for, but they have to be approved by your supervisor. Unless you do it on your time off, then you can do whatever you want. But, like, your supervisors get irritated if, at least mine did, and maybe it was me, but, I had a book like this of training. Like, I went to every training I could go to because I just wanted to get better at what I was doing. Like, I went to search and seizure training. I went to interviewing and interrogation training, swift water rescue because of Pittsburgh, the flood we had back in 2009. Like, I did all these extra things to try to round out my abilities and my skill set. But I don't hear that being done as much now. Like, people aren't going to these trainings as much because a lot of people aren't motivated to get better. They think of it as just a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with law enforcement is, like, it is a paycheck. It doesn't define who you are, but it's a little different than being a gas station attendant.
sure.
Like, you have a lot more responsibilities. So, anybody who's not trying to better themselves in law enforcement, you're probably making a mistake. Because, like, the search and seizure training, it goes way more in depth than what the case law training does.
Sure.
Like, it talks about searching, search warrants, it talks about
Sure.
probable cause and all these other things. It just reinforces that what you're doing is right.
Right.
And in Pennsylvania, the laws keep changing with search and seizure so often because of case law, because cases from 2023 are going to affect 2024
Sure.
and 2025 and 2026,
Right.
and in 2024 is going to affect every year after that. So they keep narrowing down the scope of what officers can do when it comes to search and seizure. But if you just get your updates every year, your 4-hour class, you're really not getting the benefit out of it.
Right.
You're just getting the basics.
Sure.
They have you read this and then, okay, remember that. I had 30 seconds to watch it. You think I'm going to remember that shit? But the training is so much better. And there's, like I said, a lot of organizations that give free training. And they're funded by the government. And like the state police, I became a firearms instructor through them.
Yeah.
It was a great class. A week long was awesome. The Swiftwater training was awesome. FBI training for crisis negotiator. Like, all these things are available.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people don't do it anymore, at least from what I've seen.
Well, you can't force them to want to be better.
No, but it's like everything else. If you're okay being mediocre, then you know what? I got no use for you.
Oh.
Be exceptional.
Did you see my Facebook post?
No. I'm afraid to watch your Facebook posts because you post some shit on there that I just don't get.
I'm mean. I'm really mean. I put raise your hand if you ever met someone that should have been a mediocre hand job.
This is why she has no access to our social media posts. 'Cause she's going to put this shit up there and then you're all going to get mad at me.
No. Now I have access, so you're all fucked.
Oh, Christ. I'm changing the account when I get off this fucking thing. No, but yeah, I mean, it's like society in general. Everybody's okay being mediocre. Everybody's okay just getting by. And this relates to like our addictions and life in general. Like, if you want to be mediocre, then put on a helmet. Life sucks.
Yeah.
You should always try to be better than you were the day before.
Sure.
Like, if you're not trying to learn new things, if you're not trying to excel, then what are you doing? I mean, that's just my opinion, like, since I got sober, of course, but like with work, I always try to be the best at what I did. I always try to be very productive. And, if you talk to the people I worked with at the police department, they'll say I wasn't, and I agree. I was okay at best, but I tried to be better. I tried to learn from my mistakes. I tried to do the right things. I took the trainings because I wanted, I guess, approval. I wanted people, and this is my addiction to talking, I wanted people to approve of me. I wanted people to like trust me. I wanted people to feel comfortable working with me. And these were all things I put in my own head because nobody ever said that they weren't comfortable working with me. Nobody ever said they didn't trust me. Nobody ever said that I wasn't any good. It's just, I had to do these certain things. And being sober now, I look back on it and go, yeah, I'm glad I did those things, but I did them for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything I do to get better is because I want to be better. Like,
right.
I want to be a better person. I want to be better at my job. I want to be a better human being. I want to be better in relationships. I want to be better with my dog, not be an ass and yell at her all the time. It's just, society is just stuck in this mediocrity, which is just infuriating.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's on social media.
It is.
Ooh, watch me. Look at my pictures. Look at my boobs. Ooh, look at my hair. Look at my tattoos. Blah, 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 blah. Please, stop.
Yeah. I don't do that. I don't do that kind of stuff. I post things that you're like, oh my God, why did you say that?
Well, I did diffuse the one this week, so I did good with that one.
Yes. Yes, you did. And I also want kudos for my response this week.
Yes. Once again, folks, if you're going to post stuff that's hate speech or personal attacks, we're going to delete that shit because it serves no purpose. We don't believe in bullying. So.
Yeah, and everybody can have an opinion. We're not saying you can't give us constructive criticism. Yeah. You can be like,
We are available. We have seats open. You can come on anytime you want and sit there and spout your bullshit.
Right. And, we'll sit here and talk about it. You can get it off your chest. But as for things that serve no purpose, are intentionally hurtful, or you're trying to discredit someone because of whatever reason you feel you need to, we're going to delete your comments. If you want to get on there and say, hey, Mark, you look like a big dick with your hat turned backwards, maybe Mark will wear his hat forward or not wear a hat at all.
No, you'll get a thumbs up emoji back.
Or if you
And a
say,
thank you very much.
if you say, hey, Kelly, the color purple looks terrible on you, maybe I won't wear purple anymore. You know, constructive criticism,
The
guys.
thing is, no matter what we think, we have standards.
Yes.
And that is the one thing that this is a podcast about healing, about helping, about talking about all the shit that's going wrong in the world. It's not about, making people feel worse and trying to hurt people's feelings. Like, we know that some of the things we say aren't going to sit well with some people. But once again, if you don't like what we have to say, you can always turn off your phone, not watch YouTube or Spotify on the Steel City Roundtable page, or you can get a hold of us and say, hey, listen, I disagree with what you're saying. I'd like to come on your show and talk about it, and we'll have you on. We're not running from anybody.
No.
We just don't believe in the bullshit that people put on social media, and we're not going to deal with it.
Right. I mean, social media has made people real comfortable with not getting punched in the face. For real.
Yeah, I mean, when you can do it from a distance.
Yep.
When you can just get on there and just say something completely ignorant and know that nobody's going to do anything about it.
Yep.
And folks, the biggest thing you can do wrong when somebody does that shit is to respond.
Yeah.
Don't.
I'm learning that very slowly.
What do I always say to you? Don't let anybody live in your mind space rent free.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right. And then, can you change it? No.
Is it going to kill you?
Is it going to kill me? No.
Yeah, I mean, so we're growing.
We're getting there.
We're growing. But hey, listen,
trying.
I'm always having fun with you. I think we've been on here a little over an hour, so we
Yeah,
should probably end this shit.
Everybody's tired of hearing us talk.
I'm not tired of hearing you talk.
I'm tired of hearing you cry.
Okay. Well,
I'm just kidding. I love you.
Well, say what you want to say, and then we'll get off.
Guys, be good. That's what Kenny always told me. Be good. Do good things, and tune in next week. Oh,
Earrings.
they are rose quartz horns. That's what they are called. They're called horns.
Okay. I have no idea what this little hippie's talking about, but, she does. What are you doing? Tarot reading now? Like, what? Planting trees and, like, putting your ear to the earth? All that hippie stuff you're doing now?
No, I'm using, sulfate-free shampoo and, making my own, clarified butter. I'm like, that's all. I eat organic mayonnaise, and I don't care what any of y'all say. It's better than Hellman's.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I'm hurt. That hurt a little bit.
Well, I also.
But you know what the best mayonnaise is?
What?
Duke's.
Yes,
Yeah.
Duke's, yes. Duke's mayonnaise is very good. I also don't care what kind of ketchup I have in my house either.
Okay, so on that note.
Everybody's going to stop watching us
Yeah,
now.
they're going to stop watching Heinz.
I don't.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. Once again, to Kenny, we miss you, brother. We're always thinking
you.
about you, and everything we do is with you. Just remember that help's always there. There's always someone there that can, give you a helping hand if you're willing to ask for it.
Yep.
And, we always talk about weird shit, but at the end of the day, we're happy to be here.
Yep.
And we're happy you guys are here. So come join us next time. There's always a seat at the Steel City Roundtable for you. We love you.
Peace.